In this video, I will show you how to determine why your car door does not open from inside. In our particular case, for this 2005 Honda Accord, the door opens from the exterior handle but does not work from there. Most likely, the issue here is the cable that attaches to the door handle over there is broken. Basically, there's a plastic nib that is secured in place. So when you pull the handle, the cable gets pulled while that end of that cable is being held in position. So what's happening here is that piece is most likely broken. So we're going to go ahead and now remove the door cover to expose this. Using these pry tools, these plastic ones, so that they don't end up scratching or denting, your car or your rubber. So what you do is you pry on the sides like I have here, so you can see these white tabs. There are 3 white tabs, so I've broken them loose. The same thing goes for the bottom, and the same applies to that side. So simply stick this in, try to lift it as far as you can, lift this in close to the white tabs, and then pop it free. Once that is done, the next thing would be to remove the screws that are holding the door panel in. Use a flathead screwdriver to pop this out. You remove the 2 screws that are behind here. You lift up the rubber gasket or the rubber covering, whatever this is, and you undo that screw. Once that is done, you will notice that this will become completely loose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lift this door handle out. But while you're doing, the door cover, when you're doing this, you just want to make sure that you do not pull on the cable that is attached here and to the door mechanism itself, because you could end up breaking that plastic nib, which may then involve you to do a lot more work. So take your time, make sure you don't pull or yank on anything, and just take it slowly. So we're just going to go ahead and lift this up, and this should come free. So this is the plastic nib that I was telling you about. So it's pretty much broke. So what we're just going to do is we're going to go ahead and just try to free the end of the cable. So this is done. The next thing would be to disconnect the power window switch. There is a nib on this side. So when you're holding the panel, this is the back side of the plastic connector. On the front side of it, towards the front of the car, there is a nib portion that you push in with your thumb and you basically undo, and this frees the door. In our case, it turned out that this nib was broken prior to me taking the door off, and the way I can demonstrate this is I basically unlock the door, I pull on this cable, and the door opens. This is something that I could not do before with the door handle. So basically what was happening was the door handle was pulling on the cable, but then it was also moving the cable out, and then this cable movement was not allowing that last bit of extension from this point on to release the door.
Rather than replacing this cable with a new cable and having to take apart the rest of the door and remove the door lock mechanism, we're just going to go ahead and do this alternative repair, because in order to remove that door lock mechanism, you'll have to break the seal on the back side, which is the plastic. That might rip, or you may not be able to seal it properly, and so you'll get air coming through. The second thing is you've got to remove the window slide. Then you're going to have to undo the latches from the handle onto that locking mechanism. And then one of the problems that people are facing is that they can't remove the screws from the door lock mechanism, and they end up stripping it. And so that becomes a problem down the road. If, for example, your door lock mechanism does get stuck, well, you're not going to be able to remove that. So uh, the best thing to do is to find an alternative. And here in this diagram that I'm sketched up is a proposed alternative fix to this. And the concept is very simple. If you look at the top left-hand diagram, we're looking down at the cable end the way it is in the door. If you were to just simply remove it from the door panel, we're going to put a L-shaped bracket. The L-shaped bracket, the bent portion goes around the green conical portion. It's what's going to hold that green conical portion in place because it's that nib that ends up breaking. And so in order to anchor that bent plate so that the front portion of it isn't allowed to slide away, what we're going to do is we're going to tie the L bracket at 4 locations to that complete green assembly, the back portion of it. And there you can see in the diagram, I've got a zip tie labeled on the back end. Similarly, we're going to have a zip tie on the front end of that larger section as well. And so in the front view, you can see the backside of that bracket, the 2 holes that you see on that dotted bigger portion. We're going to have additional zip tie on the other side as well in a similar fashion. And then the end view shows you the slot that we're going to cut into the bent portion of the zip tie, I mean the bent portion of the bracket, so that it slides over the conical portion and is held in by that lip. So let's transpose this diagram onto an actual image of what that area looks like. Here you can see in the top view is the original broken form of that end nib from the plastic portion. The plastic portion is also broken. For some reason in the image it's kind of hard to see the cable, but basically that conical shaped green portion is also broken. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to uh, add an L-shaped bracket, which I show in the lower image on top, on the back side of that total green piece. And then we will have 4 areas where we will install 2 zip ties. We're going to install one zip tie right behind the big portion of the green, which is towards the left side. It's got a solid opening, and then it's got a round circle in red that's not filled in. That's going to be the location of zip tie 1, and then the second zip tie is going to go where we have the 2 solid dots. So let's get started with this repair, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here.
So the bracket that I'm making for this door handle is one of these bent plates that goes into the backside of your computer, desktop computers, where it covers up the opening in the back if you don't have a card in one of those slots. So basically what I've done here is I've shaved off the legs so that they're able to fit through in this area right here. So basically what's going to happen is the broken nib is going to sit in here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slot it horizontally. So I'm going to mark the backside, as you can see right there. That backside is marked for this opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a horizontal slot to that opening. So I'm not going to drill a hole like I mentioned. For this one here, I'm just going to try to do a horizontal slot. Let me get that cut. Oh, and to do that, I'm basically going to use a grinder, and I'm going to use one of these really skinny discs to accomplish that. Alright, so here is that bracket that I've cut up. As you can see, I cut a slot into the return portion, drilled the 2 holes. So what this is going to be is it's going to slide up and over, and these holes we're going to send a zip tie through here, so that it holds on to the to this end of the rib. Alright, so this is what it looks like on the door. So if we move this away, that's what it looks like. So basically you want the flat end of the plate on the back side. I added the second the tie in here just to hold the back portion from twisting, because it was only holding on here. It still worked perfectly fine because it's being restrained here, so it doesn't really matter. Now what's going to happen is we're going to slide the 2 prongs right here. What's going to happen is this is going to, if I can show you in plan view, this is going to slide in just like that. And I wanted to show you the back side of this thing. So the way I've got this metal piece cut, can you show it from this view? Yeah, and as you can see, this fits in perfectly. I did have to make one adjustment. There's a screw. There's a screw. There's a screw right. There's a screw right there. That basically is this one right here. That comes through to hold onto this metal bracket, and so it was touching the bottom of that of the new bracket that I made. So basically I ended up pulling the screw out, grinding it down so that none of it would protrude out, and as you can see, that shiny metal right there is flush with the backside of this metal piece. So with this in place, we're going to go ahead and install the cable into the hole. We're going to clip this back in. Once we pull on the cable, it does engage. And so let me show you what it looks like with the door closed before we put the panel back on. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's it. Basically it opened up. So that's basically all there is to. Okay, so you want to make sure before you install the door panel, you make sure that you connect your power window button back on. The next thing would be to take your door handle, assembled, slide it through front. Once that's through, the next thing would be to try to get this thing to come through the holes. So you will have to juggle a little bit and force. There you go. We got that through. Now the thing would be to get the top of the door panel caught into the top bridge. Once that's done in place, what you want to do is you want to bang the door into place. Now that we've got that, one tip that I do want to point out to you before you put this thing all together, go through the trouble of getting this in and out, is ensure that once you've connected your power window button, turn the car on, make sure it works. As you can see, my window is down, so I already did that. Now for the final step, pass this bracket through here and push it into place. Once that's done, the final things would be to screw in these 2 screws. Alright, we've got that done. We're going to now go ahead and install this. All right, so now the last thing would be to put this screw in. All right, got that, and just drop this in, and that's pretty much done. Okay, so now it's time to test this thing out, and there you go, it worked. So that's all there was. I apologize for the bad lighting. My battery is running low on on my phone, and it's getting dark. The problem that I am running against here is my car just got totaled. So pretty much ended up hitting the back end of the car, and we ended up getting the front end destroyed as well. So basically they're coming to pick up the car tomorrow, but I did want to get this video done per someone's request, and show that you don't have to go through the trouble of having to remove your door, the door lock assembly, in order for you to fix this and replace that entire cable. Basically what ends up happening is you've got to remove this unit. That cable ties into a latch inside, and then you do this. One of the persons had already stripped two of the screws in trying to remove this. So this was meant as a alternate method of repairing this without having to go through all this trouble. So I hope that this video has been helpful in showing you how this is possible. Go ahead and please ask me all the questions that you want. I'll do my best to answer them in a timely fashion. Please, as always, help me out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Most importantly, that like and share is what helps me with the algorithms on YouTube. Well, thank you very much for watching.